Hey everybody, it's me, Rodney.
Hey guys, it's me, Missy, with Rusty Relics.
Yeah, there you go. Good
with
job.
Rusty Relics. Yeah, and it's Friday, and it's our live show, and we're painting a dresser. So I'm excited about that. Are you excited?
I am. I'm super excited because this is a basset. This is a really old basset too, so it has the coin inside the drawer.
Yeah, in this drawer right here, there's a coin. It's
you
really
might be
cool.
able to see it if you pull it out.
Oh yeah, let's see. Let me think about that.
Oop, I didn't realize this. Hold on. You're blocking the view there. There we go. There, put it up there to this camera.
This camera, can you see it?
Yep. See, it's got the basset coin in it. That's so cool.
Most of the time we find them and they're just stamped or whatever.
But it's a desk.
We keep on calling it a dresser.
Yeah, we do. We keep calling it a dresser.
So just ignore us when we call this a dresser throughout the entire video, because we straight up have called this thing a dresser multiple times. I'm like, oh, I got a dresser. I got a dresser. No, I have a desk.
She called her Aunt Lynn and she was talking about it. Yeah, dresser.
I do have a dresser.
Yeah.
I am excited about the dresser, but it's going to take a little bit more work, so it'll be a minute before we get it on here. But it's a really pretty Art Deco waterfall dresser. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, but it does have its issues.
Yeah, we got to do a lot of fixing.
Rodney should be able to handle all that. And it is going to be a piece that I feel like I'll probably get some hate for, because I am going to have to paint some of it, and I'm going to try to save as much of the veneer that it has and everything like that. But it is going to have to get some paint. So I'm kind of nervous about that. But it's so pretty. But this piece I'm also very excited about. We did work on it yesterday. Rodney fixed the drawers. We had to sand down the top down to the bare wood because I do want to stain it, but he fixed all of that. And it does have some, spots on here. So to me, it's a piece that needs to be painted more so than to try to sand it down all the way, fix the veneer, and restain it, blah, blah.
On the sides of it, you're talking about on the desk?
On the desk, yeah. This piece, yeah. It has its issues, so paint is definitely, to me, the answer to it. Or tons of money and a lot of time.
Yeah, because veneers ain't cheap.
The bones of this is good, but if you know anything about furniture, Bassett is a really good piece of furniture. It's a high-end piece, and these jokers were built to last. And the age of it, we don't quite know, but I did find a power bill in here that was dated in 1972.
That's what I was fixing to say. When we pulled all the drawers out, it was lost behind some stuff. It was really cool.
The Alabama power bill from Bessemer from 1972. That power bill that month was $242, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Is what it was when it was due.
So I came to the conclusion that it had to be a business to have a $270 power bill back in 1970.
Or the Alabama power hasn't changed none. They're still the same.
I doubt it. I imagine rates have gone up over the years. Kathy said, painting with Missy, this is our version of Bob Ross. Instead of happy trees, we have happy decoupage bunnies.
Happy decoupage bunnies. Yay. Yeah.
Karen said, right? Oh. Karen says she loves the desk.
It's a beautiful desk. It's heavy. It's a monster.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Margie.
But it's a good desk, for sure.
It is a good desk. It's really solid.
Mm-hmm. It's heavy. Yeah.
And I was really shocked. It's really heavy, actually.
So
I had to get Gavin to help me tote it in this time instead of Missy.
Yeah, it was heavy. I have the top of it taped off because I do want to stain that, and I didn't stain it first. I'm going to paint it first, and then I'll go back through and stain it. So obviously I will not finish this desk with y'all today on this because it's going to take a couple of different things. Number one is while all the drawers, the bottoms and everything are in really good condition, it just does have some age to it. So I do want to get some pretty paper to put in the drawers, and I have a stencil. And it's going to depend on how the desk looks once I get it all the way painted and the top stained. If I do want to stencil something right in here, I think that would be really pretty. with this color especially, but that's just one of those things that I say, like the furniture will tell you what it needs as you start. So that's one of those things. But then I also thought it would be really fun to stencil the sides of the drawers to make those pretty. But again, that's just one of those things that I feel like the dresser will tell you. But either which way, I will not finish this today, but I definitely will bring y'all along the process of how we do finish this one out. So just be on the lookout for that. But today we are going to use Silk paint. So Silk is your all-in-one mineral paint. It's got your primer built into it, and it has your top coat. So when I'm doing a piece like this, I do like to go with Silk for that main reason that it has the top coat built into it. So that means once I get my 2 coats on, which it probably will take 2 coats, once it is on and it is dried, hard, and cured up, I'm good. I don't have to worry about it. But if you ever do use this paint and you're going to paint the top of this desk, if I was painting the top of this desk, I would put an additional top coat on it just to make it more durable, right? Is that what I'm trying to say? Just to make sure that it's really durable as far as that goes. But in general, once you put your Silk paint on it and once it's dry and cured, you don't really have to add another top coat to it because the one that's built into this works great. Another thing about Silk all-in-one mineral paint is that you do not use water with it. You don't spray down the furniture. You don't mist as you're painting or anything like that. You just paint. So it is different than chalk paint, and you have to get it in your mind when you're flipping from paint to paint what you're doing. I will say this, I do start out with a wet brush always, no matter if it's Silk or chalk paint. And the reason why I do it with Silk too is because a dry brush, when you dip it in there, it's just going to grab all your paint, and then it's like your first load is not always a real load. Is that what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always like to start out with a wet paintbrush. All I did was stick it under the water and then squeeze it out, and then I took a towel and then I just dried it out just like I would wash a brush or whatever. So that's what I'm going to start out with. I'm not a big fan of starting out with dry paintbrushes, but the reason why you do not want to use water with Silk is because once you add water to it, you're watering down your top coat, and that's going to make it not as durable. So
you want to pause just a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of people have joined now.
Okay.
So
Go
Judy said hey.
Hi.
Natalie said hey.
Hi.
Brenda Berry Just Peachy said hey.
Hi, Miss Brenda.
Karen said, will you need to sand between the 2 coats of Silk?
Okay, so normally I don't. The only time that I would initially go for a sand in between is if I found a paint run or something like that. So if I see that maybe I had a drip or a run or some kind of brush strokes that I wasn't happy with, I would like to sand those down before I go through on my second coat, because you really can't level those out. Silk is a self-leveling paint. So, and that's what we're going to talk about when I go through and paint. I'm going to show you the difference between the Silk and chalk paint, and how, like, with chalk paint you can just kind of go. With Silk you want to pay attention to how you're painting. So it is an easy paint to work with. Don't let me scare you. It is really easy to work with, but it is different. You have to change your mindset from chalk paint to Silk paint. You don't paint the same when you paint with these 2 paints. And for this piece, honestly, this would have been a good piece to roll with the foam roller, but I'm out of foam rollers, so we're just doing the paintbrush. But keep that in mind. Like if you were to go and paint, like somebody was talking about painting the roll top desk last week, or recently somebody was talking about that, and I was like, roll it, get you a foam roller. This would be something similar to that, minus the roll top or whatever. This would have been an easy piece to roll. You still would have used your paintbrush to cut in, but this would have been an easy piece to roll. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this kind of stuff. Those cabinet rollers work wonders, especially with Silk paint too. But we're just going to do this the old-fashioned way with a paintbrush, and I'll just show you along the way on how you're going to want to paint with this kind of paint, so that way you can skip steps like sanding in between and stuff like that.
Jay has joined us on this rainy day.
Hi, Jay.
It has been thunderstorming here like crazy.
Yes, it's been bad. So another thing with the sanding in between the coats is like so much of that, the chalk paint has texture and that grit and that feel to it. Silk does not have that at all. And I don't know if that's because of its different. It's probably different binders, because this has everything built into one coating. So when you're painting with your first coat and then you walk away and it's all the way completely dry and you run your hand across it, it does not feel the same as it would if you painted it with just Dixie Belle chalk paint.
Good morning, May May. Good morning, Lorna.
Hi, May May. So okay, so like I said, I do have my paintbrush is damp. It's not soaking wet. You can't squeeze no water out of it, but it is wet. So that way when I go to load it into the paint, it's not going to just immediately absorb all my paint. I'm going to be able to work with this paint out of the brush. So that way we can make the most of the paint. And we'll just start with the drawers. I feel like that's the easiest thing to start with. I do have that taped off, and I do have my sides taped off on the drawers, so I can try to keep it as clean and professional as possible. But I will say that if you do get paint where you don't want it to, you can get it off. As soon as it's dry enough that you can sand it off, that's when I would sand it off. I wouldn't wait days or weeks, because when this paint is dry and cured, it's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It's hard.
Jay asked, how does the rainy weather affect the paint, as in humidity?
Okay, so obviously if I was outside or in a shop, I would not be painting this.
It would take a long time to dry.
Yeah, your dry time is going to be long. But as far as like painting, it's not going to be bad. But I probably would have skipped if I had to be out there and paint. I wouldn't use silk. I would probably use chalk, but I probably would have just skipped painting today because of that. But we're inside the house and the air conditioner is on, so that controls the humidity and stuff like that. And that's another thing with like silk. You don't want it to dry faster than what you're putting it on. So the weather does play a huge factor into that. So if you can paint it in a controlled environment with like the humidity and the air and stuff like that, then that's what I would go for. Which it has no smells to this or anything like that. So it's a good paint to also you can use indoors and not have to be scared about it. So
yeah, it's VOC free.
Yeah, it's VOC free too. Okay, you want to make sure that you have it shaken and mixed up really, really good, because like I said, it's your primer, top coat, and paint all in one. So you want all of those to be really good mixed up, which I've already used some of this paint. Not much, but some of it. So mine is good to go. I feel nervous because I'm painting with silk on a live.
That's funny.
Like usually it's just chalk paint, so I'm not that big of a deal. And I'm not scared of silk paint. I use it all the time. But
hello, Sandy. Donna, we sanded the piece.
Pretty.
We cleaned it with a white lightning, and then we sanded it.
Really good. We cleaned it really good. And then as far as the drawers and everything, we just scuff sanded them and went through it.
Sandy said hi.
And cleaned it up. Hi. So it's a self-leveling paint. So you just want to go as much as you can in the same direction. And as soon as you feel your paint dragging or wanting to stop, like as soon as you get, which is hard to show that on these drawers, but as soon as you feel it not wanting to spread anymore, that's where you want to stop and reload your brush and then come back through it, because you don't want to you do not want to drag this paint at all.
Shannon wants to know if this desk is for her.
It's green, so it's always for Shannon. Yeah.
Karen said it's a gorgeous color. Margie says it's a gorgeous color.
I really like this color.
It's the second time we've used it, right?
Yeah, this is the only the second time. I painted it with it on a small piece. And I really liked it a lot. And then yesterday, because the hardest part about painting furniture is picking out the color, right? So when I was looking at all the Dixie Belle colors, I knew I wanted to go with silk.
What color is it again?
Acadia?
Acadia.
Acadia. Yeah, this is one of their new colors. It was this and Smoky Mountain was where I was kind of like leaning to, and I've already painted with Smoky Mountain on a big piece of furniture, so that's where I kind of went with like this one. But I feel like because of this piece, it could go either way. So it could be a manly piece, but it could be a pretty piece. So the biggest thing is just keeping your brush loaded and not spreading it too thin. And then as soon as you feel any kind of drag, like your paintbrush is wanting to not have no paint on it, that's when you want to reload it. But I think that it helps a lot when you start with a damp paintbrush, because otherwise you would just be loading your paintbrush, like your paintbrush would be holding all the paint, not so much the putting the paint on the furniture. Another thing is once you paint it and then like it starts to dry up, you don't want to take your brush, like I don't want to go back through and touch this up at all. I want all of this to self-level. So as I don't know if you can really see it on camera, but you can see like lines, right, in the paint. But don't stress about those because they do self-level. The biggest thing is catching anything that has like the runs where the holes are. You just don't want to overwork it. You just want to make sure that you catch any of those when you can, but try not to go back over it if at all possible. Because like with chalk paint, you could do that no problem, because all you have to do is just take your mister, spray it, and then go back over it. But with silk, you don't want to do that. You want to let everything self-level out. That's why I said, like, you won't see me finish this project up today, because normally I say give it 4 hours in between your two coats. Like 2 coats should do this perfectly fine and not have any coverage problem at all. But you want to wait because it dries from the top down. So your surface will be dry, but underneath the surface layer of the paint, your undercoat, right? Am I saying that right? Like it's not layers of paint, but like the surface will be dry to the touch.
Yeah, but
more
underneath
so than the paint.
Not.
Yeah, the underneath won't. So that's where you don't want to keep on messing with it and keep on overworking it, because then you will cause problems as far as it goes with not leveling out and having that smooth modern finish. That's what this will have when it's all said and done.
Okay, so Natalie, we started on this piece in particular with a 80 grit sandpaper, and then we progressed to 120 grit. For your dresser, it's 100 years old, that has some water damage and some dents. So dents you can iron out, like I mentioned in the last video, if it's just like a hammer dent or like you brushed up against it. As long as it's, within a quarter inch to the surface, you should be able to use a hot iron and a damp towel and let that steam lift that back out. But I would start on your 100-year-old dresser. I would just start with 120 and see where that gets me first. That way you can
especially on a dresser that old, because even on this piece, when we originally started sanding, the clear coat, you can tell the difference between sanding dust and clear coat dust, because clear coat dust is like a yellowish color and it's really fine, and it's like it's just like powdery, don't you think?
Yes, it comes off as a gritty powder. It's it's easy to come off of a really old piece.
Yeah. So you'll see when you're sanding, you'll be able to know. You can tell that you're just hitting through the clear coat. So even on this piece where we scuff sanded on the inside and stuff like that, that was just to get through the clear coat and get to the actual wood and just scuff it up just enough to give my paint something to adhere to. Now, as far as the top restaining, that's where we wanted to go through and get that all the way down.
Mama brought up a good point. She said that the color looks different between the two
cameras.
Yeah.
It always does, doesn't it?
No, usually I match them pretty good. I don't know why this one's doing this.
Now this is real fresh wet and this is dry and wet, so you can see the difference as it dries. I need to go to that side. Is that going to be an issue?
No, it shouldn't. Okay. You'll just be crossing over in front of this camera right here.
I am going to put this paintbrush in the sink.
But yeah, so the overhead camera actually shows pretty close to what this color looks like. But it is a very rich color, Sandy.
It's really
Mama asked, are you keeping any of the brown? Just the top, right? We're going to restain the top.
The part that's up here, that's where I have it taped off, that is going to be restained with probably dark walnut is probably what I'll end up going with. But this part right here, I'm going to paint it green. I'm going to do it with the silk where the trim is. And then this part right here will be stained with the gel stain. But I do that last, and the reason why I do that last is because if I by chance got wood paint on the surface where I'm staining at, if I already stain it, then I gotta sand that down and then go back through and restain, and hopefully everything stays even. But if I get paint on it before I stain it, all I gotta do is just sand the paint off and then restain it and stain it, and then it's not a problem. So I always stain last. I don't stain before. So that way if I was to get paint on it, it's not as much of a big deal if I, versus staining it. That's why I was like, I hope I'm not messing you up.
No, you're fine.
Are gonna, drive you nuts with that one.
No, you're fine. What I'm trying to do is make sure the colors, because the color looks different from the front than the side, so I'm trying to keep the angle so the colors look consistent through each view. And
you have so much of it is lighting.
We're going to use the original hardware that came with the Bassett piece.
Oh, yes. Every drawer, everything has the original hardware. Everything. I was super excited about that. Both pieces that I got have all the original hardware. So I love it when it has the original hardware. It just needs a really good cleaning. And then it's black, right? The hardware to this one's black?
Yes.
Yeah. So I more than likely will leave it black because it's really pretty like it is.
I accidentally hit the mouse on the wrong scene and it grabbed your camera and then pulled it off, so I went back to overhead. I'll have to fix that later. Yeah, I can go out there and get it, Sandy. Give me just a second.
What are you gonna go get? The hardware?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. It's really pretty. Oh, I was watching my paint. They're all coming. Do you want to cross over? Do you want to cross over the oldest dog? Come on. Come on if you want to cross over. Come on. Make your mind up. Come on. Come on. Come on.
She don't want to come.
No, she don't want to come. Stassy's being camera shy. Come on. Come on. Or not. She'll wait till Rodney comes in, and then she'll want to cross over. Are you stretching? Do you want to come on? Come on. No. I am going to get her out, though. Because you know what she'll do. There we go.
She wouldn't come because I was there.
Yeah. The oldest dog. Have at it. Brenda did it.
Brenda said now she wants to paint all her furniture that color.
Oh, it's really pretty.
Let me see. Okay. Meme said, I love your confidence with painting, Missy. You just boss that furniture around and it always turns out amazing.
I say the furniture tells me what it wants.
Yeah, right.
That's what I say.
It's like me, it gets bossed around.
Oh, whatever. Look how pretty. I was so excited when I got these pieces yesterday. So excited. And originally, we were going after a piece of glass. Like, that's how we originally started the day, is we needed to go get a piece of glass cut for another piece of furniture that I have. And we did not get the glass. So, we'll try that again on another day.
Yeah.
Another day. It's also another piece of furniture that I painted for Shannon.
Sandy said black would be awesome. I think she was talking about the handles.
Yeah.
They're more of a bronzish.
Are they?
Yeah, they're almost black, but they're more bronzish. Brenda said, now I want to paint all my furniture that color.
Yeah.
Sorry for the disruption. Kat said, hey, from Des, M, and Kat.
Hi, Kat.
Karen said, sassy, sassy, sassy.
Sassy. The oldest dog.
Tommy Glasscock asked, do you drink Red Bull before painting? Yes. Yes, Tommy.
Yes, I do.
She does. But I don't think she actually, you didn't have one this morning, did you?
No, I actually, Meme, are you listening? I actually have cut back on my Red Bulls. So I've only been drinking about 2 a week.
Yeah, see, it's most definitely bronze.
Yeah. So I think it'll look really good with this piece. It just needs to be, these are not cleaned up or anything.
Meme said, I am listening.
Yeah, are you listening? I've only drank 2 this week.
So that's the original Bassett handles that were on it.
You know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be so hard for me not to gild and wax these things.
She's probably going to gild and wax them.
Oh.
Meme said, good girl.
So Tommy trying to get me in trouble. Okay.
Calling her out for the Red Bulls.
Tommy trying to get me in trouble. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get some of these drawers out. I just wanted to show you how it is with the drawers.
Kathy said the handles are really pretty.
I think so too. And I think they'll be really pretty black. I think they just, let's see.
Meme said they need to be gilded.
Thank you. That's what I'm thinking too. Let me see. No, I'm just going to take them out. Let me get some of these drawers out so I can paint like the body of the dresser. I normally don't paint my drawers in the dresser. Sometimes I do. It depends on the dresser or the desk, whichever one you want to call it. So let me just get these out of the way.
Yeah, so if you notice from the front view right now, the drawers on the right look like they're this dark green, and the drawers on the left look more muted. Yeah, you almost want to touch this because if this was chalk paint, this would probably be almost dry. You would almost think this is dry, but it is not. It is a trick. So do not touch it. Just let it keep on drying. The only thing I want to do is, like, as I pull these out, is to make sure that if there is any runs or whatever, I just kind of want to lightly touch it with my loaded paintbrush to smooth it out. But don't stress them out because this paint does self-level and it takes a minute to self-level. So just keep that in mind when you're using this paint. As it dries and as it cures, it levels out on its own. It just helps if you keep a steady hand and a consistent loaded paintbrush. Don't let your paintbrush get dried out. So let me get these out of the way and put them safely to the side. And then we'll work on this piece. But yeah. You'll do what?
Work on like this.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm just going to keep on letting those dry because I don't want to accidentally like bump them or touch them or anything like that.
Right.
So, like I said, just keep it as loaded as possible. And then as soon as you feel the paint starting to thin out or drag, you just want to reload. And you don't have to be too scared. I mean, like, you can like get into details and stuff like that with the paintbrush, but then come back through and smooth it. So, you know, as you're going through the process, just keep it as smooth as possible. And if you have any corners or anything like that, just keep it all smooth and going. I don't know if I'm blocking it.
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying not to.
There we go.
There.
I had to fix the white balance.
Did you get it?
Yep. Sorry about that, guys. Got a better view now. I'm glad May said that about the colors because it's been aggravating me ever since. Because I like to try to keep the cameras consistent in between the two. Okay, let's see. Sandy said those are beautiful. I still think black would contrast well.
I think the black would look good. It's just me. I love to gold gilding wax. I love gold gilding wax, so I'll gild anything that I can.
Sandy said I love the feet on that as well. May said gotta run. Gonna love seeing this when it's done. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, May.
Vinny said Vinny the video.
Vinny the video.
That's right.
Thank you, Vinny. I think it's going to be really pretty when it's all done. I'm really glad we went with this color.
Well, when you asked me about it, I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh, let me do one of those wavy hands. There we go. Waving.
Okay, so, my necklace might have just hit my mic. I like for my furniture to be as finished looking as possible. Like for the professional appearance of it. So like on these parts right here on the drawer fronts, I tend to paint go into them. And the main reason why I do that is my necklace is probably hitting my mic a bunch. I'm sorry about that. The main reason why I like to do that is because especially on older furniture, like sometimes the drawers sit in a little bit further than what than what you realize when it's wood like this and you have the drawers in there, you don't so much see how far it sticks out or how far it sets into these places like that. So, and then when you go through and paint it, and you don't paint it with the drawers in there, you go to put your drawers in and then all of a sudden you can see your inside guts of the dresser or drawers or whatever that you didn't see before. So I always tend to go just a little bit in just to make sure, but you just want to do a thin coat of that just to make sure that way if your drawer does sit in a little bit further than what you realize, you don't have to worry about that showing and then going back through and taking it out and repainting it or touching it up or anything like that. So, but I say thin because if you build up too much paint, then it can, make it tighter than what you realize. Because you are adding, while it's not much, you are adding a layer to what you already have on there. And sometimes that can change how your drawers slide in and out. Like you can make it where it just fits a little bit tighter than what it originally did, if that makes sense.
Sandy said, I wish I lived nearby, I would totally pick this up. Then Margie said, I wish I lived close just for the people.
Just for the people? Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of good people in our community.
We do. We do. And another thing that I think about when I'm painting furniture is the underside lip right here. especially when you're painting with like silk and that kind of way, it just helps to seal anything like that up. Is which, when this is all said and done, I will use Big Mama's butter on the insides of the drawers and stuff like that, just to give it a nice and fresh smell. But like, I just like
that,
to make
and
sure.
it'll make it glide better.
Yeah.
So like Kathy just asked, what if you chip the paint? Like when you put the drawers in, do you put a clear coat on? Well, silk is really a hard paint. I don't know how to describe it. One time I messed up a piece, and I painted it white, but I didn't realize that the paint was, I painted it outside, so I didn't realize the paint was drying until my brush basically came to almost a halt. And so I was like, okay, do I spray it with water or not? But the instructions say don't use it with water. So I was like, okay, not to use it with water, we'll just let it dry. I'm going to sand it off. I spent about 45 minutes with 80 grit sandpaper on a random orbital sander and finally got it smooth. So I was really shocked at how hard this paint is.
It is
once
really
it's
hard.
dry. I'd say it's not as hard as an enamel, obviously.
No,
but
no.
It's most definitely harder than chalk paint as far as the toughness of the paint.
It is a very durable paint, and that's what I was saying, that if you do I need to move the disc, or
what you fixing to do?
Like to get in the inside here?
Well, you can see the inside from this
Okay.
one camera.
Okay, so that's where I need to be then.
As long as you're just painting that one side,
yeah,
you can
for
see it
right
from
now.
right here.
Yeah. That's where I say, like, if you, like on the drawers, like if I got any paint on the sides of the drawers that I didn't want, I would try to get that off as soon as possible, because as the paint dries, it just gets harder. And you have to use a lot more muscle to
get that
to
off.
get it off, to sand it off and that kind of thing. So what I like to do is just, especially with this paint, is just pay really close attention. And that's where I say go slow, and just paint sections at a time and pay attention. But it's not a scary paint. Like, I don't want to scare y'all from this paint. It's not a scary paint. It's just a different mindset from painting with chalk paint and painting with this paint. It's just a little bit different. But as far as durability, I feel like the top coat that is in this paint is durable. But it, like I said, like for the top of the desk, if I was going to paint the top of the desk instead of stain it, then I would go through and add an additional clear coat to it, just to give it a better durable, more reliable finish that could take a little bit more than say like if I didn't. I don't know if I'm making any sense. If I would put an additional top coat on the top of the desk if I was going to paint it. That's what I'm trying to say. But as far as the body of the dresser, I feel like it is durable enough. But with anything, if it's painted, it can be chipped, of course, because it's paint.
Yeah, right.
It's just paint. Even this is just paint.
But if you put a little bit of wax on a surface after you get done with it, it'll glide a little bit easier, so it's less likely to chip. It'll just glide over the surface.
Right.
I thought that was a great question, Kathy.
That's good, yeah.
It took me a second when we moved it in close that caused the camera to lag because of low light compensation. So I turned low light compensation off.
I'm trying to make sure that I have all of this real quick.
Because at first I thought our internet was lagging, but no, it was most definitely the camera itself lagging.
And thin coats are good. It's just, not super thin, but not super thick. Like, I don't want y'all to think that I'm painting this on super thick, because I'm really not. I keep reloading my brush in order for it not to run dry, so it doesn't spread out. Like with chalk paint, you can keep going and keep going and keep going, and not have to worry about that kind of stuff. But with silk, it's not that I'm painting on thick. I'm just keeping it loaded so that it can not drag and get any brush strokes. Okay, where do you want me to go to now?
That's up to you, however you move. I just got to adjust the camera to whatever you're doing.
So what I'll do is I'll take these drawers out, so that way I can work on that side too. That's the only thing about recording painting something big like this, is it can be a little bit.
A little bit of a hassle.
A little bit of a hassle. I'm sorry about that. I should have went one drawer at a time. But I was trying to be extra.
Well, that's generally what you do. Just be extra.
Be extra.
Since I can't rely on the auto exposure, I have to adjust it manually. So that's the only problem. That's what happens when we move all this stuff and we keep having to move the camera, is it's messing up the exposure.
Well, I can move the desk now. Now that let me get these desk out, this drawer out, and then I can move the desk however you want me to. And then you don't have to move the cameras. Because now that the drawers are out, it's much lighter. Okay. Now the desk is actually a lot easier to move.
Then move it in front of that camera then.
Okay, so.
And that'll give me time to adjust so they can see you painting on the other side of it. Our next video, when we do the dresser, that's going to be an actual video, and it'll probably be a little longer than our normal videos are, but we're going to be doing some stuff like fixing that veneer at the bottom. I'm going to show you how to use Bondo wood filler.
I'm just going to paint this right here, and then we'll move it to the side. So you tell me if this is good or not.
What are you painting?
This right here.
Yeah, that's good. Rusty Relics teal bag, y'all. But yeah, so Bondo actually does make a wood filler. Because I know some people think I'm crazy when I say Bondo wood filler. But that's it. That's what I use. It's a 2-part mix. That's no problem, Kathy. Kathy said, thanks for all the helpful hints.
Anything to help you guys out, for sure. For sure.
Mainly, we just don't want anybody being scared to take that first step.
Yeah. Even with this paint, I feel like I'm like, oh, y'all don't do this, y'all don't do that, y'all don't do this. But it's just changing your mindset from the two paints. It's not, once you get a feel for it, you'll adapt really easy to it, and then you'll be able to go. Because some pieces I paint with chalk paint, some pieces I paint with the silk. And I can tell you the difference, like the reason why I went with silk on this one was because it has the top coat built into it. So that's one less step.
Bye, Miss Brenda. Brenda said she's got to run.
Bye.
Be safe out there if it's still raining.
It's just one less step that I got to do. And that's the reason why on this piece, I go with silk. It's because I don't have to worry about waxing everything, waxing all the drawers, getting into all of the details and that kind of stuff. And then too, it's the sanding. So I'm big into sanding so that my piece has that silky smooth finish before I wax it up. This would be a lot of sanding, and I've already done a lot of sanding to it. So that's kind of why on this piece I was just like, I'd like to paint it silk.
Donna said, well, I'm still scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
It's safe to start with chalk paint because it's really easy to get off.
I always start people off with chalk paint if they're, but some people do straight go up for the silk, and it's that built-in top coat is the seller on silk, and I understand it 100% because, like I said, that's what makes me want to paint some pieces silk more so than
yeah, one and done is a nice concept,
especially when you paint, like for me, as much furniture that I paint, I really like the simple part of being the one and done. That works for me. But again, like I said, it depends on the look that you're going for. So if you're doing a primitive piece, then probably you don't want to go with silk. If you're trying to distress it or anything. Now you can add wax to this. So if you like dark wax and doing the aging technique and stuff like that, or glaze, if you wanted to use black glaze on it to get into all of these details and wipe it back down, you can still use all of those products on this paint, because it just means that the paint is sealed up. So no matter, you can still build to it. So if you wanted it to have an aged look, you can still get that accomplishment effect with silk paint. You would just use the glaze or the dark wax because the dark wax will sit on it. For that, you would need to give it a couple of days to fully cure, the dark wax to fully cure, because that means it's not going into the paint. It's just sitting on top of the...
yeah, just like any other wax at that point.
Yeah, it's just sitting on top of it. But after days of not touching it, not using it or anything like that, that wax will eventually harden up and cure up. So
Karen said she messed up her fluffy bird decoupage paper yesterday.
Oh.
She said she overworked it.
Ah.
And she's on a huge learning curve.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing. And I do this stuff almost every single day, but I still do the same thing. I still can mess something up like that.
Yeah, you overworked a piece the other day.
And it'll frustrate me so bad because I know not to overwork something, but yet I'll still do that. So it happens on days like that. That's where I'm just like, walk away. Try to start over on a different day.
That is true.
Because sometimes it's just not a good day to craft.
Like Lorna said, at least you're trying.
Yeah.
Lorna said, at least you're trying.
At least you're trying. Okay, so how would I get to this?
Jay said he's overworked.
I feel you.
Yeah, right. She says she feels you.
I feel you, Jay. No, I'm just joking. What's the best
I can't.
way?
I can't.
I don't think I can on this one. Let me just get this painted up. You're just not going to be able to see it, but it's the same thing as over here. Just wanting to get this side painted.
Karen says she's just not as patient as she should be.
Oh, that's the worst part about doing anything is being patient, because I just want to do it all in one go. I don't want to sit and walk away. That's one reason why I'm like with silk. That's why I'm stressing to y'all. Let it dry. Let it dry for at least 4 hours in between coats. Because like I'm ready to put that second coat on. By the time I get this whole piece painted, I'm ready for the second coat. And you have to wait. So to me, that's the worst. That's the worst.
Is it 4? I thought it was 2 hours.
I say 4 because so much of it depends on your air and your temperature and the setting that you're painting in, you just want it to dry. I always go with the 4-hour thing though, because of how it can still be.
Jay says, same. I don't like to stop until the project is finished.
Me, I'm that way.
And I'm all about make sure it's cured first.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check some, and you know what? And it's a good thing. You know, that table that I sanded down yesterday. So here's a prime example of why you wait. So I sanded a table that somebody else had polyurethaned, and they had put a couple coats of polyurethane on it. But when I got to I would say the first coat or the second coat they put on, they didn't give it time to cure before they applied their next coat. So
yeah.
when I got to that coat, all of a sudden it became like gum on the surface.
Very gummy.
And it was really, 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 really sticky.
And it's so gross feeling.
So at that point, I just had to tough through it and lose 2 things of sandpaper.
Yeah, you went through some sandpaper yesterday.
Yeah, because I use rhomboid. It's a weird sandpaper. It's got these grooves in it, these neat shapes. But each shape has these has stronger grip than some of the other shapes. So it's a faster acting sandpaper. But yeah, it most definitely. I ruined 3 sheets just on that one coat, getting that one coat off.
And it's not a big table at all.
And if I'd have used a cabinet scraper, it'd have been terrible.
It's like a 2-person table. It's not a big table at all.
It is, Jay. I'm testing it. I'm testing it before I send it back.
Oh, your thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be able to move the desk now.
Lorna said, do you usually use 1 coat with the silk paint? No, Missy usually always does 2 coats.
I always 2
with
coat.
This paint.
2 coat with chalk paint, 2 coat with silk. I'm going to tell you my favorite part about this desk is the backside.
It's actually wood.
Because it's all the way finished. Like, you know, usually this is not a good piece of furniture. Like, it's not, it's just got that ugly stuff in the back. But this is all the way finished all the way back here. So we're going to paint it. And this is actually going to be a good example to show you about reloading your brush. So I'm just going to wipe it down. But I'm going to catch any of these where I just painted. And make sure, yeah. Okay, so there we go. I'm just trying to make sure I catch any of the, like where if I went too thick. And any of my spots. Hold on. All right. So like I said, if you had a foam cabinet roller, this would be a perfect piece to actually do that with because there's so much flat spots. You could have easily done that. But we're doing it the whole old school fashion way. So you just want to go. Let's see if my paintbrush will. It will when I get right here. Am I good or do I need to push it?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
I'm trying to look up what sandpaper it is that I use.
Oh, yeah. When you start,
for Karen.
And you can feel your brush starting to thin out, so how it does like that, that's where you want to stop and reload and then come back through and then finish it out. And that's where I like to start from the top and then go back down to make sure that I have it nice and even. And then I do the same thing. I just go to the next spot and I'm like slightly overlapping. And then I'm just going until it thins out. And then I'll reload and then come back through. I'm going to get this because there's detail right here on this one.
I can't find the brand I use.
And then just
it's ROHMB, ROHMB. But...
And I do
like here's some that's just like it.
The Decoupage medium oval brush for this kind of paint job. Just because it's the shape of it is you can still bend and get into all the detail, but it's also just a nice smooth one. So the zebra brushes work good for this too, but I do have a tendency to lean more towards the medium oval brush when I'm painting with the silk chalk paint like this. I like the way it loads the paint and then holds on to it as far as that goes.
Why can I not find the share button on Amazon?
Ooh, I do not know. Which I know that this is the back side of the desk, and it's very rarely, you know, like more than likely this will end up and going up against a wall. But I just feel like it just looks better when it's all the way finished out for my purposes. Now, like if you were at home and you were doing this and you knew this was going up against the wall, you don't necessarily have to paint it. But I like for it to look good. I like it. I want it to be professional looking anyways.
Yeah, that's important.
That's
That's the most important thing.
That's always my goal, is to make it look professional looking. But I don't know. Let's see. I really want to go in the same direction, so that way if I did happen to have any brush strokes.
Karen, I posted the link to the sandpaper that I use, or the style I use. And like Jay said, not all sandpaper is created equal. If it's hand sandpaper, I always use 3M. But if it's hook and loop, I like to use the sandpapers with the diamond patterns on them. Because to me, they're just fantastic.
Yeah. I like the way it like almost cuts through the stain when you're trying to sand something down to the bare wood.
Right.
I like how that sandpaper like almost cuts down, like cuts through it almost but not damaging the table, like in that kind of way.
I think Sun Gold makes good sandpaper too. 3M is pricey as far as sandpaper goes.
It is. Now, when I go through and do my second coat, before I do the second coat, what I want to do is I usually go through and see if I do have any kind of brush strokes. And if I do, I'll kind of go the other direction so that it can level out that way. So how everything I'm going up and down, on my second one, more than likely I would come through and go back and forth like that way, side to side. So that way it just helps and to level everything out in case there were any brush strokes in this piece. But I mean, it's just paint, so it's not going to be perfect unless you're like spraying it. But even with spraying, you can still have flaws that show up. So don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to stuff like this. Because you can, I mean, there's no piece of furniture out there that's perfect.
Okay, I shared the actual sandpaper that I buy.
Do I need to move this further down?
No, I moved it to the live scene.
Okay.
Which is the overhead camera only.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it on the floor. That's what I was trying to avoid today.
Okay. Does it matter if you go with the grain or not with silk paint?
I don't think it does. Do you? In my experience, it doesn't.
No, it's always safe to go one way and then the other way.
That's what I was telling them. Like on this paint job, like on this go round, I'm going up and down.
So on the next one,
on my
she'll
next
go across.
one, I would go across. I would go side to side.
That way, you fill in any gaps that are created by brush strokes.
With brush strokes.
All right. Kathy said, "How do you know when you need what kind?
Which paint to use with the project?"
Or is she asking about sand? Are you asking about paint or sandpaper?
Because That's two good questions.
Sandpaper. Okay.
Sandpaper. Okay.
So, as far as whether you use hand sandpaper, if you're gonna be hand sanding or machine sanding. So I use a random orbital sander. We have a couple of them because they're faster, but really on any of your like little edges and stuff, unless you have an interface pad on your sander, you'll most definitely want to do any rounded over edges or any Roman OGs or anything like that's the shaping. You'll want to do that by hand.
Sanding sponge.
Sanding sponges are really good.
I use those a lot.
Now, Missy uses Gator sponges. I use 3M Sandblaster sponges.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3M makes a better sponge for that. But she likes the Gator sponge.
They're both good. So either one. I think Gator was just what was available to us last time when I bought them, so that's why I went with that.
Yeah, and they're about the same price. They're roughly the same price.
I think
there's a huge quality drop off in between those two brands and Harbor Freight brand.
Yes, don't buy the cheap sanders.
The sandpaper.
Sandpaper.
Yeah, or sanding sponges.
Yeah, it's worth it too.
Because like Jay pointed out earlier, not all sandpaper is created equal.
Yeah.
And when you get into 3M, Sun Gold, anything like that, you're top of the line sandpaper right there. But I for some reason, that company's sandpaper that I posted in that second link, I love that sandpaper. And I was really skeptical when I bought it because it was like 150 pieces of sandpaper for like $18.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking it was going to be cheap junk. And I have been thoroughly impressed with the quality of that paper.
So like for this, like say if say my tape is not exactly on the line like I think it is, when I go to pull the tape off, what I would do is after my paint is dry and everything like that, I would take the sanding sponge and then to scuff the paint off.
Right.
That's what I would use the sanding sponge on. And then with this piece, I use the sanding sponge on the edges of everything and anywhere where there was like the front legs where they curve down like that. That's when a sanding sponge is really good for that kind of stuff because you're not gonna mess up the wood, but you're gonna be able to get to the finish.
Yep.
So sanding sponges are
they're good. They're good products as long as you get a good quality one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And you can reuse them. Like, they're not a one and done thing.
You can even soak them in water and do wet sanding.
Yeah, I do. I wash mine off when I get too much. My thing is like, if I sand down a furniture in one color and then I go to do another piece in a different color, I'm always like, oh, that dust is going to get in this dust. Not that it really matters, but my brain says you can't mix. So I always end up cleaning mine.
That's funny.
I use that big brush that you have outside.
Yeah, bench brush.
Yeah, I use a bench brush and I brush my sanding blocks down so that way I can get all the dust because my brain says, oh no, that sanding dust is going to mix in. And it's not. It's just dust. Everything's dry, but my brain says, you can't do that.
Well, it can. Yeah, let's say you clear coat afterwards after you put some red, but you don't wash the piece or clean the piece back off.
Right.
Then you'll get some red in your clear coat. But Kathy, as far as choosing what grit sandpaper, I always start at 80 grit and then work up to 120 or 150.
Right.
Sometimes you go above that. Like when Missy finishes a piece, she'll get even finer grit sandpaper. She'll go up to 320 sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's for the last final sand to get it as smooth as possible. Because once you sand with 320, it's hard for paint to want to bond. You'll have to scoot the camera back some. So just pull it back, and I'll tell you when. Angle it down some.
I can't angle.
There you go. Just pull up on the hand. There you go. You got it.
I did it.
I don't know why she's asking me. She can see the screen.
I'm a cameraman now. So, yeah.
But yeah, and always work through your progressions. Don't start at 320 because you're going to take forever to get what you want. Always start at your 80. If you start off with 80, start at 80, 120, 240, and then 320.
But now if you're just on general scuff sanding.
Yeah, 120 is perfect.
120 is perfect. Like if you're not trying to get down to any of the, you're just trying to scuff it up to give yourself something for your paint to adhere to. 120 is perfect. And you can do that with sandpaper or a sanding sponge.
What would you start with on a leather tabletop? I've never done a leather tabletop, but I have done leather, what you call them? Suitcases.
Oh,
I've done leather suitcases, and I have always gone with the 150 as opposed to the 120.
Because you're not trying to tear it off. You're just
trying to give it a little bit of surface.
Of a grit. Yeah.
And that's it. It's all about the grip. You don't have to. You're not sanding the death out of it. You're just lightly scuffing that surface enough to give it a little bit of tooth to be able to grip that paint.
You don't need to use a lot of pressure or anything like that. You just going over it, just like that. That's
a leather tabletop. That's so cool.
That is cool.
I have never seen one actually.
So you're gonna paint a leather tabletop? That would be really cool, actually.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Or stain one.
Oh, could you? Can you stain?
Yeah, you can stain. You can stain. Not that kind of stain. You need like a colorant, I would think.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Thanks. I didn't want to paint the whole piece, just the damaged finish of the leather. It is a coffee table from the 30s.
Oh.
That explains the leather.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, I would just be really gentle with it then.
Yeah.
The older leather gets, the more brittle it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have a trunk that's leather like that. That's really...
Yeah.
I kind of almost don't know what to do with it because of that.
One thing, well, I put that conditioner on it, so that should help it get back supple.
Right.
Kind of like a baseball glove almost.
Right. Okay. Let me make sure I go.
Yeah, I would most definitely be careful though.
I really am liking this color a lot on this piece.
Yeah. It looks really good. It looks the same on the phone view as it does on the
Does it?
As it does in person. Now my screen gives me much more difficult. I can't really see what it looks like because the screen brightens it up too much.
It's almost like how at the store, how I take pictures of stuff and it doesn't give it its true color.
So I've been noticing that's not the problem at all. It's probably because a lot of people have their auto
the brightness,
the auto brightness turned on their phones. Because it's just like when I first flipped on our video, it looked muted. The color, everything looked muted. But then I turned off auto brightness and it fixed the view.
Did it?
Because I'm always concerned about the colors not showing up on the video how they are in person. So I try to spend a lot of time adjusting that before the stream starts.
Sometimes, like when I take pictures of furniture at the store, people will think it's one color, and it's just my phone cannot capture. Plus, we have so much different light going on in the store. We have actual sunlight, and then we got those overhead ballast lights that.
We have fluorescent lights that haven't been changed out, and then we use daylight LED 8-foot long tubes.
Yeah, and sometimes
to replace them with.
It just doesn't do nothing justice. You know, like it doesn't.
Our biggest complaint though is the size of stuff. People will think something's bigger than what it is, or they'll think something's smaller than what it is.
Yeah.
Even with other objects sitting behind it.
Yeah, I try to do that. I don't try to trick people into that. It's just sometimes when I'm taking the pictures, I don't realize.
The rocking chair with the mini. We had a rocking chair.
Yeah, it was
this is
little.
Funny. We had a rocking chair and it had a little bitty cushion in it, right? And it's sitting on a table. But the way Missy took the picture, it looked like it was sitting on a hardwood floor. And so people came in looking for this because it was only $20. And so they were coming in to get this rocking chair, and it was, this big.
It was little.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to trick nobody. It was just.
Well, when we looked at I think that's the first time we ever removed the photo.
Yeah.
Was because we realized afterwards, it does look like it's sitting on hardwood floor because it's sitting on that daggum table.
It's me.
And it was one of those tables where you laminate the top is laminated wood where it's butted up against each other and it's edge glued.
Yeah. It's just me, guys. I'm just tricking people. It's just the trickster. Let's see, Let's
see. Jay said, yes, they don't fill up as fast. Talking about the 3M sandpaper. That is true.
That is true.
Lorna Curtis said, you are a professional, Missy.
I'm not professional, but thank you. Oh, I swear y'all are so kind to me. There we go. Am I still in good camera shot to do this side?
Yeah, you're good.
So out of everything on this desk, this was probably the worst side.
Yes, it was.
This was probably the side that took the most weather.
It had water damage all the way down. So what Missy did is if you notice on the very bottom, because I didn't notice it, I only sanded the top down because it had a lot of water damage too. But what Missy did was sand that through and then penetrate through the wood and then sanded through the water damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can remove all that as long as it doesn't penetrate too
it wasn't
too deep.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And the top was the same way. It wasn't too deep. So we're able to get that out without having to cut that piece off, use a router to trace it, and then make a new piece basically.
I think that this piece
and I'm running low on oak, so I'm trying not to have to do anything like that because I maybe have 1 2x4x6 piece of oak left, and it's only no, it's a 2x6, and it's 4 foot long. That's all I have left.
I think this
Karen
piece,
says so funny.
This piece just got forgotten.
I think it did too. I think it sat in a shed, and probably shed leaked, and then they were like, "Oh, it's ruined, so let's get rid of it."
It's not ruined.
It takes a lot to actually ruin a piece.
Especially
we've replaced entire bottom of legs. If I can copy it on a lathe, we're gonna fix the legs.
Especially a Bassett piece.
Margie said, "You are a professional in my mind, Missy."
Thank you. Thank you.
And Carol said, "Yes, very professional paint job."
Oh, you are so sweet.
Be more professionals if you're busting out sprayers constantly. Do you know why we don't use sprayers? Because not everybody has a sprayer. Not everybody wants to spend the money on a sprayer.
I actually just to me, this is enjoyable. More so than spraying it. Now,
I'll spray a kitchen table in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Now, my mama could spray furniture. She loved spraying furniture.
Jay said burnt. He must have called. Did I say burnt again? I said I was going to correct that the next time because I'm bad about saying it too.
I think you did say it. She loved spraying furniture.
Yeah, she used a Cricut sprayer.
But number one, I never learned how to do that from her. So there's that. And number two, I've always just been good with a paintbrush. Well, to me though, okay, so if I wasn't doing this live and I was just in here painting, I'd have my earbuds on and I would be listening to music, and then
there would be 5 more projects that she'd be painting on.
Probably so. But it would just be, to me, it's just really relaxing, and it's not stressful at all. Now, obviously, it can get stressful when things aren't going your way. Like if you get bleed through, or if you get where you realize that you didn't sand something down as good as you thought you did, and your paint's not sticking to it, or you thought you cleaned it really good and then you realized you didn't, and you found some gum or whatever gummy stuff stuck to it, or okay, that piece that I did I do that piece last Friday? The one that's sitting over here that I still haven't finished up?
Yeah.
That piece that I did last Friday, when I took it outside to give it like just a little bit of sanding to get that grit feeling off of it from the chalk paint, I found 2 or 3 runs that are from the previous paint job that you didn't see before, and I didn't see it when I painted it, but when I went to sand it, it immediately distressed the runs, and I was like, nope, nope, nope. So I took that piece, I took the big sander to it, and I sanded those all the way down to get the runs out, and then I brought it back inside, and I applied 2 more coats of that to it. So that's why that piece is not done, and that's why I never posted the finished piece to it. I will on the post, so you'll see it, but...
Natalie said, am I the only one who sees the potential for a beautiful decoupage inside that side panel?
Oh, no, you're not.
Missy looked at it and doesn't. She was trying to figure out if we had a sheet that could go in there.
I went through all of my papers, and I don't have any big enough papers. I need to kind of restock on that, but I don't have no big enough papers too, but it would be gorgeous.
Is this piece going to be for sale?
Yeah, this piece will go to the store. I don't need it here. This would be a good desk for you, but I don't think it's big enough.
No, not for me.
Yeah, it's not big enough for you.
It's not deep enough.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to turn it back this way. Make sure I'm not, because this is wet, but this is not. Let me go this way. There we go.
Karen said, I'd rather clean a paintbrush than a sprayer.
See, that's another thing that I think about too, is the cleanup. And the cleanup to me is one of the second worst things about doing projects is the cleanup. Like, you have to be patient, number one, then you got to clean all that mess up. And Mama, that's one thing I did learn from Mama, that cleaning the sprayer was absolutely vital. You need to clean that sprayer, or you'll lose the sprayer. So
Molly says she had fun watching. She's got to run. She'll check to see how it turned out.
All right, thank y'all, or thank you.
I think we'll probably do a. Are you going to do a video?
I really
want to.
I'm probably, if we can record finishing this up. I'm definitely going to try to record finishing up. I'll tell you what, the next thing that we'll have to do after it dries is obviously it'll get a second coat of paint to make sure that I didn't leave any spots bare or anything like that. And if there are any flaws such as runs or anything like that, I'll correct those. But in general, with silk paint, I usually just let it dry and then come back through and do my second coat, and then that's it. Usually it's 2 coats and it's done. And then I like for it to sit for a couple of days and let this paint really harden up and cure all the way before I do anything else to it. But then I'll want to stain the top, clean my handles up, and I really do want to put some pretty paper in the drawers. And after I get that done, then I'll know if I want to go anywhere else with it, as far as like a stencil or something like that. But
yeah, because that's what we talked about, was stenciling it at first.
Yeah, I do have some pretty stencils at the store that I would like to.
But you'll probably end up just stenciling the oak itself, right?
Like the sides. You know how you see furniture that when they pull it out, the sides of the drawer are really pretty? I think that would be, this would be a fun piece to do that too. So I might do that just so I can be extra on this piece, because like I said, this is a nice piece of furniture. It's a Bassett. It's really good. So I feel like it deserves a little bit of extra attention.
Well, it does. And it's in really great shape. That's the impressive part.
It is. It is. And then once the drawers get put back in it, goodness gracious, let's see. It'll look really good.
Yeah, put one drawer in.
Let me see if I can.
Put one drawer in that bad boy.
Make it easy.
Natalie said it doesn't have to be a desk. It can be an entry table or sit behind a couch.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I'm a firm believer in furniture can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, she is.
It does not have to stay where you think it needs to go. I would say, if anything, I'm a furniture hoarder. because I love a good piece of furniture, and I will keep a good piece of furniture. But yeah, this would be a great sofa table behind. Don't let me mess it up. There it goes. Ooh, look at that.
That is beautiful.
I think it would be really pretty with the gold handles. But I also think it'll look really good with the black handles too. I think the handles is what I'll do is after I get them all cleaned up, I'll put one on and just see how it goes on, like how it looks.
So when she said furniture hoarder, I'm going to show you guys something.
Oh, are you going to show them? Don't show them my messy house, please.
So that's a very old, early 1800s piece there that she has. And then we have this thing.
Do not
right here.
take them through the house.
And that's the piece that she's still working on. Let me turn this light on so you guys can see.
Oh my God.
Oh, look, let's look at this. This is her miniatures collection. A little piece of it, right? And then that's my desk. And notice on the right-hand side there's a end table type thing, because Missy loves that end table. And that's the desk I'll be fixing here pretty soon, hopefully.
You are nuts. Look how pretty.
Let's see. So gorgeous, Karen said. Beautiful, Margie said. Will I get a notification when it's finished? Yeah, if we do a video, it'll most definitely be notify.
Maybe this one goes here. Nope, this one's a skinny one, so it goes up.
You should get a notification when we post that video.
Yeah.
Love that sideboard. Margie said, love it.
Yeah.
Sandy said, I have minis too. Houses aren't messy, they're lived in.
Oh, mine is very lived in.
Love those pieces.
Mine is very lived in. Y'all are sweet.
My computer desk is a mess. Got a lot of paper on it. My coffee cup.
There we go. Our house is there's 5 people that live here and we have 3 dogs. Okay. So yeah.
Jay said bonus cribs content. Glad I caught the live.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. It's always a mess in here. But it's fun.
She was in the background going, no, don't do it.
Don't you take them any further. Do not take them any further.
I mean, I started to walk around and show y'all everything while I was at it.
No way. So like, I'm sure y'all can't see it on camera. I'm sure it looks, like the coverage looks good on camera more so than in person, but it definitely does need a second coat. I can already see. And like I said, that's not dry.
Here, I'll take them down and show them.
This is your first coat. Where it is dry to the touch in a light way, this is definitely not dry enough to come through and do a second coat or to do anything to it.
Here, I want to switch you guys so you can see it.
I don't know. Let's see. What time is it? 12:23.
So there you go. You can see it clearly. It needs to have a second coat.
But what the main thing that I want you to look at, if you can see it really good, is like the brush strokes are almost non-existent, right? Am I saying? Yeah. But you can, even though it needs a second coat, you can't see the brush strokes from the paint. So while it looked like I might have been going heavy or thick on the paint, I really, really wasn't. I was just keeping my brush loaded and not letting it, not letting all the paint come off my brush and then, go into reload. So that's the key thing, is like it does self level. So as long as you don't overwork your paint, as long as you go in nice, long and smooth and just barely overlap your strokes, it will self level out. And then it will have like a nice and smooth finish. This does not have a chalk paint finish. It's very nice and very smooth. So like I said, it seems scary. It seems like you're gonna have brush strokes, especially as it's drying, because it doesn't dry evenly. But if you let it be, it will self-level out and it will smooth itself out. So a second coat on this and then letting it sit. Like I said, I like to let my silk furniture sit for at least 2 to 3 days just to harden up all the way, just to make sure that it is 100%, curing up. Of course, Dixie Belle's going to tell you 30 days. Is that what they tell you?
30 days for a total cure.
For a total cure. But who has 30 days to let a piece of furniture sit and not touch? I don't. So this house would be even more of a mess if I did. But I'll take it here for a couple of days before I load it up into my vehicle. And then I'll take it to the back of the store and let it sit for a couple of days before I move it onto the floor.
The only time we really let something sit for 30 days is if it gets a polyurethane coat on the top.
Yeah.
Like the table that's at the back of the store right now. It'll sit for 30 days because we actually do need that to cure, because if somebody takes it home and then gets some food on it or whatever, you want that coating to be inert.
Yeah.
So all the chemicals that make it not food safe go away. So you're left with a nice tabletop.
Right. So if you do this at home and use this paint at home, what I would say is light use. Light use. If you don't wait 30 days to let it do, you can put it on, just light use and let the paint just cure all the way up, because that's what Dixie Belle says. Dixie Belle says 38 days. So, I like to let mine sit, so it'd probably be 2 weeks before this piece of furniture actually touches the floor at the store, but it will go.
Lorna says she got 4 adults, 3 kids there. She said, thank God it's a big house.
Yeah.
Carol said, I was just going to say, it's not messy, it's lived in. Plus, you work in there, so don't ever think you can keep it spotless. Give yourself some grace. You are awesome, Missy.
Y'all are so
That's
sweet.
what I tell her all the time. She's like, parents, she's like, I got to sweep again. I'm like, well, just calm down, I'll help.
I was sweeping because I didn't want any dog hair to get on the
But
furniture.
when I do help, guys, it's not the right help.
You know how that is. Yeah.
I do it wrong.
That's
I
right.
swept wrong.
You gotta sweep it the right way.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I'm making a joke, by the way. And Sandy said, how much is shipping to Texas, with a winky face?
Ooh, it might be.
And then I sent Big Eye Corgi.
Yeah, I bet so. I bet so.
I'll tell you what, candy shipped to the store was $1,000 for a pallet that was maybe 3 feet tall. Not
Candy.
like not $1,000 shipping.
Yeah.
On candy.
Yeah. 1
pallet that wasn't full. I was stunned. I haven't ordered candy since.
No, candy is hard. It's hard to keep in stock at the store.
Donna said her house is well lived in.
Mine is very well lived in.
Natalie said dog and cat hair is a condiment in her house.
Yeah, it is here because of Cammie. Like in the mornings, when the kids are going to school and stuff like that, they're very resistant to love on Cammie before they go, because they know that they're just going to go to school with dog hair on them. But they always, I made a joke.
And we vacuum. Missy vacuums in the morning before we leave. Kaylee vacuums when she gets home from school.
Yeah.
And then Missy will vacuum again when we get home from work.
We will always have
It'll be vacuumed 3 times a day. Somebody's going to vacuum this house.
We'll always have corgi glitter. That's what they call it, corgi glitter.
Yeah, corgi
but
glitter.
I threatened Gavin the other day that I was going to put Cammie in his truck.
Yeah. When me and him was going to the gas station.
I was like, I'm going to put Cammie in your truck. She can go with you. And he was like, oh, heck no. Because once you put Cammie in your vehicle, you will always have Cammie's hair in your vehicle. It will never go away. That's a corgi for you. That's a corgi.
She's funny.
But yeah.
She's a good dog. She's outside barking, I think.
Probably so.
Karen said this house too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about the dog and cat hair is a condiment.
Yeah, it is.
Donna said, I don't have cats or dogs, but a husband and grandkids. Well, that's enough too.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. There's 3 girls in this house, so long hair. You're bound to get.
Jay said we got a robot vacuum that his wife named Alice, like from the Jetsons.
Yeah, we have a robot vacuum, but Cammie does not like it. So
it's not really a robot.
Well, it's not the real robot. It's like a knockoff, but it still does the same thing.
It's one of those that you can get for $20.
Yeah, you can. It drives around the house and it vacuums, but Cammie does not like it.
Lorna says she's got 7 cats.
Ooh.
Missy would probably have 7 cats if I'd let her.
I do love a kitty. We had a cat, and he passed away.
We had 3 cats.
I have not replaced. We just stuck with the dogs. We just let it go.
We had
so
we had Socks.
Well,
he was our first kitten.
Yeah, we didn't have them all at the same time.
And Socks got cancer. Yeah. We got PJ. He got shot in the leg by a kid with a BB gun.
Yeah.
And so we had to have his leg amputated.
So he was a 3-legged cat. I think somebody stole him.
I think somebody stole him too. He was a long-haired tabby, but he was a monstrous size.
He was a big old cat.
If you saw him out and his fur wasn't the bright orange, you'd think he was a Maine Coon. That's how big he was.
He was a big old cat, and he was gorgeous, and he had 3 legs. So I imagine the 15 minutes of me running to pick the kids up from school and running back to the house, I think somebody probably saw him.
And he was too scared to get off the porch. He'd never leave the porch.
I think somebody thought that he was a poor cat, and he wasn't a poor cat. He was very well fed and loved. But
we have Karen says she's got Frenchie glitter in her house. Margie said hers is called Rufus.
There you go.
Rufus is a good name.
Yeah, that is a good name.
If I had a Rottweiler, his name would be Rocky. One day we're going to get one of those.
That's what he says.
Yeah, that's what I say. Everybody else
that's
is like, no. I'm like, look how cute these puppies are, though.
But everybody in this house has a list of dogs that they want to own. All of us do.
Oh, Margie named her robot vacuum Rufus.
Oh, that's smart. Oh, that's even better.
And her 2 don't mind Rufus the sweeper, but hate the regular sweeper.
Cammy don't like anything.
No, Rufus, the broom.
She don't like anything. The other day when I was vacuuming, she was literally biting it.
Yeah,
like
actually, first time attacking the vacuum.
And I was like, stop biting my vacuum cleaner. She's so funny.
She is. She's a bad dog, too, sometimes.
She is.
This morning, she wouldn't leave me alone. She kept biting my ankles. I think it's because she was scared of the lightning.
I think that's all I got today.
That's all you got today?
Yep. I need to just let this piece sit and let it finish drying up all the way. And like I said, when I go through and do my second coat, I'll go the opposite direction of how I originally painted it. But you guys, we're going to work on making this a video, and we'll take you through the process of how we've finished this one out, because I think it's going to turn out to be really pretty. This one?
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's going to turn out to be really, really pretty. So we'll work hard to take y'all through this process. But remember when I said paint the inside of the drawers? I know that I'm sitting on the floor, and on average, the person wouldn't be sitting on the floor, but I can already see where the drawer sits in, and I can see the original wood to it. So just stuff like that, when you can sit and look at your furniture and see that stuff. But just like for me, I know the average person is not going to be sitting on the floor looking, but
that's right.
That's just me. That's how my brain works. That's how I work. So
Margie said, thank you. Great video. Have a great weekend. You too, Margie.
Yeah, thank y'all. Thank y'all for hopping on. Thank y'all for hanging out with us, for watching us, for all your compliments. Y'all are super sweet. Thank y'all so much.
Y'all gave Missy the big head today.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. Y'all have a blessed weekend and be safe.
Bye.